Kid reaches over and saves his seatmate from getting plunked right in the forehead.
In the face.
Great catch.
He legitimately saved him from a broken nose. I would know. Happened to me.
This is Sportscentre.
Hey, I'm Marissa Bruno. We are just hours away from the official start of NBA free agency, as players are free to sign with their new teams as of 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific. But the biggest name-changing teams already signed last night. Yep, you heard me correctly. When James Harden opted into the final year of his contract, a $35.6 million player option, the plan wasn't for him to stay with Philly, as the Sixers are seeking a trade for the star guard. And according to Woj, Philly started making calls around the league last night, with the early word that the Clippers are going to be a major suitor, as well as the Knicks. But some of you may be thinking, if you want to leave Philly and you're about to enter free agency, why are you opting into a contract? Well, here's Brian Windhorst with the answer to that question.
There isn't a strong market for James Harden right now, and the Sixers were positioning themselves to try to force him into a disadvantageous position, and so he elected to opt into his contract, because when you're opted in, then you can be traded everywhere. When you're a free agent, you're limited in how and where you can go. And so by yesterday morning, it was already getting out in the league that the LA Clippers were looking to see if James Harden might opt into that contract and become available. The ground was already shaking, and so that's where we are.
Now, every James Harden trade over the last few years is really summed up by this Arrested Development clip.
Well, did it work for those people?
No, it never does. I mean, these people somehow delude themselves into thinking it might, but... but it might work for us.
I'm such a Tobias stan, okay? I appreciate the never nude status. And you know I say it all the time. No one does drama on TV better than the NBA. And the memes were out in full force last night as soon as the Harden story broke. But let's focus on that last one for a second, because that Nets trio from a couple years back of Harden, KD, and Kyrie has really gone hard with the trade requests since then. Now, outside of Harden, there's still a lot of names available inside of free agency. And while we haven't gotten much in terms of news when it comes to the big name free agents, aside from some of those Fred to Houston whispers, we're hearing rumblings that the Pacers are in play for NBA champion Bruce Brown. And Max Strus looks to be hitting the market and will have many suitors. Now joined by Craig Button to talk some free agent frenzy. Uncle Button, the second time this week, you know we love to see it.
Well, I love to see you too, Marissa, and it's a little bit different being at the SC Podium as opposed to being on rooftop Tootsie's in Nashville.
Okay, Craig, we are just a day away from the frenzy. Give us the one match you'd love to see tomorrow that could really push a team over the top.
So I'm looking specifically at the Edmonton Oilers, and I'm looking at a second pair right shot defenseman, Scott Mayfield. He is a player that might not be a sexy name, but he's a really solid player. We know how good Evan Bouchard has been offensively. I think that getting Mayfield, a big, strong, defending type player, into that lineup, it allows Cody Ceci maybe to have a little bit less burden on him. Scott Mayfield went to 2 consecutive conference finals with the New York Islanders and was an important player for them. He could be just as important for the Edmonton Oilers.
Finally, we need you to switch your free agent hat to a trade hat. What's one deal you would love to see before free agency begins tomorrow?
And if I was still in Nashville, Marissa, I'd be trading my cowboy hat for my trade hat. But here we go. Connor Hellebuck to the New Jersey Devils. The New Jersey Devils had a fantastic season, and Tom Fitzgerald has continuously taken this team and improved it. They get Timo Meier signed long-term, and we're looking at not only a team that has had success in the past season, they're set up to have it for a number of years. Connor Hellebuck, an elite #1 goaltender, would now absolutely put them in a position to be that Stanley Cup contender. In fact, I would put them into the category of Stanley Cup favorite coming out of the Eastern Conference. All you got to do is look back to 1995. Pierre Lacroix had a very good team in Colorado. Patrick Waugh became available. It set them up for the Stanley Cup in 1996. I think Tommy Fitzgerald, by getting Hellebuck, could do something very similar.
We love Uncle Button insights, but nobody send this section to Jesse, okay? It would kill him. Finally, you know we had to ask, how much line dancing did you do in Nashville exactly?
Listen, Nashville is just a warm-up for the Calgary Stampede, which begins a week after this Friday. And for me, that's what really gets my feet kicking and stomping.
Yes, Button knows what's good. It's all about Western Canada. Craig Button, a pleasure as always. And just a reminder, it all starts tomorrow morning, Free Agent Frenzy on TSN all day long. Gets going at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific.
Breaking news! Blake Wheeler has been placed on waivers as the Jets work to process a buyout. Wheeler had 1 year and $8.25 million left on his contract and will hit free agency tomorrow. According to our own Darren Dreger, the Dallas Stars will be among a number of teams wanting to sign the 36-year-old. And the buyouts aren't done there, as Matt Duchene, Mike Riley, and Kyler Yamamoto have also all been placed on unconditional waivers to be bought out by the 5 p.m. deadline today.
Time now for the CFL preview powered by FanDuel. And tonight's game is going to be a doozy between two winless teams hoping to end some streaks. So far this season, these two teams are combined 0-5. So barring a tie, someone's getting a win tonight. Both teams are also in the middle of awful home losing streaks. The Elks can't snap theirs because they're the road team. But Ottawa's lost 13 in a row at home, dating back to 2021. But their last home win just so happened to come against the Elks. Edmonton, on the other hand, has taken L's in 7 straight games, dating back to last season. With all that in mind, Ottawa's a 2.5-point favorite at -140 on the money line. Both teams will be starting different QBs, which also makes this matchup kind of dicey. Jared Doge is in for the Elks for the first time this season, while Tyree Adams gets the nod for Ottawa. Looking at some player props, Adams' total for passing yards is 219.5, which might be tough to hit considering Edmonton allows 250 per game, and he's not even their normal starter. And you can watch the Elks and Red Blacks tonight on TSN. Coverage begins at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. And we finish with soccer, as Canadian Ashley Lawrence posted to her socials this morning saying, quote, "I'm a Blue, I'm delighted to start my next chapter with Chelsea." Lawrence spent her last 6 seasons with PSG, playing 180 games at both fullback positions. She was a nominee for the 2021 Ballon d'Or, and now joins a team that won the Women's Super League Championship for a record 4th straight time this past spring. I'm over the moon not only for Ashley, but her fellow Canadian national team teammates who have just made incredible leaps in the international soccer scene. I'm just in awe. That's all for today. We'll see you back here Monday. Have a good one.